January's Throwback Rotation format has been announced to be Storm Over Rivayle. So let's take a look at the top 5 decks from that meta so you have a head start on knowing what to play once it comes out. By far, the best deck in the entire format is Lexis. Pretty much no question about it. By the end of the format, I believe it had 50 plus representation in tournaments. The way this works is that Lexis generates the vehicle amulets, which are a key feature of Rivayle, the beautiful steed, the bullet bike, and the arcane personnel carrier whenever an amulet leaves play, and he also recovers you a play point whenever an allied amulet comes into play. So this lets you do a whole bunch of shenanigans where you basically spam amulets and get cards played in your turn count up as well for your combo cards. And that means you have options, and a lot of options you have. Not only are the vehicles good because they buff up your guys, but Sukuna auto evolves on Enhanced 4, and then Strike, gain X, Storm, and the X is equal to the number of different allied amulets that left play this match. So obviously you have trees from Traveler's Respite and Fertile Ether. You have the 3 vehicles from Lexis, and this just does like 5 bajillion damage. And because you're also recovering play points and getting lots of cards played in one turn, you have access to Shamu Shama, which gets better the more cards you play in a turn, gaining Storm, and then also getting you Antics and Gaze for even more damage and board control purposes. So you just finish in one turn with Shamu Shama plus Sukuna after an insane Lexis turn to completely just win the mid game. Also to win the mid game, you have Varmint Hunter to just deal damage to the entire enemy board because your amulets are always leaving play. And then you have the good bounce cards, obviously, like Airbound Barrage, Deepwood Wolf, to, keep the turns going. And you can also replay Shamu Shama. Basically just Shamu Shama. You replay Shamu Shama over and over again by bouncing them. It's kind of hard to pilot, but I'm pretty sure it beats everything. The only thing stopping Lexis from being undisputed tier 0 is that it's hard to play. Next up on the list, second place is Ball Blood. This is just an example list here. Last month it was Fortune's Hand, and Ball Blood was still good then, and it's still good now in Rivayle as well. You draw a bunch of cards and deal damage with the Ravening Corruption hero effect, or leader effect I should say, because when it evolves you deal damage randomly to an enemy whenever you draw. Then you have tons of draw cards like Larahe, and then Hellspear Warrior has Avarice, gain Storm, so it works with the drawing theme. And then Ball, obviously, you fuse your entire hand and then draw their hand again, clear the board, and then draw 6. So all the 6 damage goes to face from the Ravening Corruption. 1 Garnet Waltz. Some people include more, some people include less. But generally, it's just a very powerful deck that deals a lot of burn damage. This version of the list also has access to Blood-Soaked Archdemon, which is just a 1 play point draw with the Accelerate. But also, at some point, you just get a really cheap guy that is just an 11-11 rush, which gives you a little bit more staying power. And then also Vuela is in this deck as well, in this iteration of the deck, which is just Fanfare draw card, but also, because you draw so much, you get to evolve for free, and then it has Storm, so it supplements your ball damage. If you're enjoying the video and want to see more Shadowverse content, why not like the video and subscribe? It actually does help out and tells YouTube you want to see more of whatever this is. Okay, next! Probably my least favorite deck in the meta to play against, certainly. It's Heal Haven or Sanctuary Haven. It's a stall deck where you just play Ra and then hope that the Ra leader effect kills them eventually, which it will, because the Ra leader effect obviously scales every turn. And then you just stay alive by having Holy Sank on the field, which does several effects whenever you heal yourself. 1 is deal 3, second time is summon Holy Flame, third time is gain +2/+2 ward and can't be targeted to one of your followers. So you clear board, you summon guys, you make big boards, and the Ra does the rest of the work. You have lots of healing in this deck, Yukari obviously is the biggest one, which gives you effect immunity when the Union Burst is active, while also healing you. Lots of cheap heals with Set, and of course Justine fusing Natura cards. That's why some of the Natura cards are in here. And then Benevolent Blight is a really good AoE for this deck as well, because it's deal 3 to all draw, and then deal 6 to all draw for enhanced 9. And because it heals and deals, it lets you stay alive, clears the board, and sort of resets the state while your Ra is still active. I will say, it is a little different than as pictured here, because I believe when Rivayle goes live, the Zelgenia nerf will be in effect. So Zelgenia will be worse, but still good enough to be played. So pre-nerf, Zelgenia obviously is a 5/5/5 that evolves to a 10/10, ridiculous stuff. Post-nerf, I believe he's a 6/5/5 that evolves into a 7/7. So obviously much worse, but you still play him because he still clears heals and draws you cards. So that's fine too. Next, Evolve Sword. Probably the 4th best deck. So this one has quite a bit of variations in terms of how you can build the list. Obviously, again, Zelgenia will be nerfed in this version, but Wildcat Zelgenia is still a powerful win condition, and you can make up the rest of it with just like Kagemitsu into Wildcat is also a good combo, Steadfast getting some chip in, and then you have like just a bunch of the good cards. You also played Not in this list, lets you clear the board. Alyaska is still obviously very good. Because you evolve so much, you get Ariet value, just healing and drawing, Resolve the Fallen, drawing and clearing. And some lists do run Reinhardt as a one-of. I do kind of like it as like a tech. Just gets you a lot more survivability. It's not necessary, but I think it is nice. And finally, the 5th best deck in the meta, I would say, is Aggro Shadow. If you didn't know, before we had Soul Snatcher, or whatever her name was, we had Grudge Teller, which is literally just that card, Soul Sniper, but worse, where it only deals damage to the enemy leader. But back in the day, that was actually fine. And what you do is you just hit them in the face very hard by having early game. And then you summon a bunch of ghosts with like Gold Rush Ghosts and Hands 5, or like you also get the leader effect, which is kind of nice. You get some value there. You get Storm with the Abysmal Wraith. And then the obviously best card in the entire deck is Necro Impulse, because you just hit them in the face. Obviously, it's bad into Sanctuary Haven, duh, because they just heal out of your range and you don't really have the OTK necessary to deal with them. But against other decks, you can catch them off guard with this. You can also resurrect Grudge Teller with Goldmine Necromancer Accelerate or Forced Resurrection, which is also cheap removal. Or you resurrect the Helio, and Helio basically also gets you a Storm because Last Word summons a zombie on the start of your, or on the end of your opponent's turn, which means at the start of your turn, it basically has Rush. I mean, basically has Storm. You also can buff your Storm guys up with Quixotic, which gets you Bullet Bike or Dutiful Steed, obviously. And Milteo is just a good card. Of course, there are other decks that are playable outside of these 5. Control OTK Portal is a thing. Gremory Shadow is a thing if you like to use Invincible Monster Trio instead of just going face. There are more options than what I said here, but these are the 5 that I think are the best. But if you want to see some of those other options, why not check out some of my old videos from that time, one of which you can find right here.